Now it's my pleasure to introduce once again the moderator. I think this is 4th or 5th time doing it. Our moderator, Michael Giacchino.
It's Comic-Con. That's so crazy. I remember a few years ago when I had to do this panel, I was a little hungover, but I'm great today. I am great today. So I am excited to be here with these guys. So they are all amazing composers, and what I want to do is just try to get to know them a little bit better. You know, composers are people that just sit in their rooms by themselves for months on end working. So you never really get to know, and we certainly don't really get to know each other because we don't normally work together, right? All right, so Sherri, we're going to ask some questions here. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Describe yourself to us by telling us the names of 2 movies that you love.
Oh, that I love. Okay.
Yes.
First Blood and Aliens.
Wow. And why is that? How does that describe you?
Well, I mean, Sly, you know. But I really actually grew up on these movies, and I grew up, you know, listening to the soundtracks. But also, just, you know, you want to be, you know, a superhero. You want to be, you know, someone who's really, really tough and you know, a lone wolf, as it were. Yeah. I don't know. As a composer, I think those are kind of what we have to do. We've got the armor, and we've also got the very introvert side of us. So
Yes.
I think those describe me the best.
Do you think all composers are introverted?
I think there's a part of us.
Artists.
Yeah.
In general, probably. Yeah. What about when you were growing up, movies? You watched movies a lot?
I did, yes.
Which of those do you think was the first one that had a film score that sort of impacted you? That you thought, hey, what is that music? What is that in there?
Okay, so when I was younger, the first time that I actually felt that I understood what music was doing were on 2 shows, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, 100%, yes, and, sorry, Alias.
Oh.
Like seriously. And I mean this because it was kind of the first time that I realized, oh wow, there's not only an effectiveness in score, in the music, in the right music, but there's also like a responsibility. And, you know, without these things, like there's just not believable with these like tiny little women being able to, you know, battle the demons of the Hellmouth and, you know, that kind of thing. So it was honestly thanks to those scores and you know, and those shows that made me realize, yeah, there's a real responsibility here for music to be the right tone and make this believable.
Well, I was really lucky on Alias because J.J. Abrams, you know, who did that show, he fought to have that live orchestra every week for that show. So I feel like without him pushing for that, it would have been a very different feeling. So I'm glad that you liked it. 2 movies that you love that describe who you are.
I would probably go for Devil Wears Prada. One, I was actually listening to the soundtrack of that on my way down. I live in Los Angeles, drove down here last night. So I would say Devil Wears Prada and Audition would be my other one.
All right, excellent. First film score you remember hearing that really made you go, wow, you can put music in movies, or what is that?
Probably The Lost Boys. I would say that was the one that really, I don't know if it was the score or if it was the needle drop tracks in there, but that was the music really hit me in The Lost Boys.
Because you're working on Legacy of Monsters, I want to ask you, when you were a kid, what monster terrified you the most when you were growing up?
It's a good question. Honestly, I used to watch Pet Sematary, and this isn't technically a monster, but like the grandma that had spinal meningitis, and I just couldn't watch that scene. It would just freak me out.
Did you watch a lot of horror movies as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, like, I was like 12 and 13 when it was like the era of like the Arnie movies, so it was like always trying to watch the movies that you weren't old enough to watch. That was like my childhood. It was like, let me see if I can get my friend's older brother to like put the VHS on in his bedroom.
So instead of getting your friend's older brother to go buy you beer, you were like, can you put on the monster movie?
Yeah, can you put on Predator?
Okay. So working on Legacy of Monsters, tell me something about that show, working on that show that nobody here knows, that we wouldn't know.
Something that you wouldn't know? It's a tough one. I mean, I would say just having the opportunity to work on Godzilla was such a, I was so mind blown by the way that I was able to put music underneath Godzilla that I was just in a constant state of panic while I was doing it. But you're the first person I've told. Now it's come out.
Don't say anything.
Yeah,
All right.
it came out a year ago. I feel like I'm now able to say that I was in a constant state of panic as I was doing it.
And was the panic because of just the legacy of something like Godzilla, or was it because of the schedule? Was it where did?
I think it was the legacy of Godzilla. Because it's one of those things like everybody knows Godzilla. You don't even know why. Like I don't remember the first time I became aware of Godzilla, but everybody in the world knows what Godzilla is. So I think just the idea that I was able to be a part of that legacy, for lack of a better word, was the thing that it made me feel both pressure and excitement through the roof.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, let's watch something from Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. Real quick follow-up question. When you're working on the show, how finished is the imagery for you to see?
A lot of times it's animatic, so you'll get a sort of rough animation of what the scene is going to be like when it's got Godzilla or one of the many other titans. But it's not something that you can dial in super tight to. If you're working to an animatic, I would advise you to not go really hard on getting the cuts right, because often what ends up coming, the final product, is fairly drastically different to that.
Yeah, and then television schedules are kind of crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, on a show like Monarch, it's a very music-heavy show. You're talking about a 45-minute show with probably 40 minutes of music. So it's a lot.
All right, Chris Lennertz, known you a long time. Sausage Party. We're just going to talk about that. No, The Boys, obviously, has been a huge show. So congrats on that. It's so fun. But first, tell us about you by by telling us two movies that you absolutely love.
I would have to say E.T., first one probably,
Okay.
definitely, and the second one, let's go Godfather.
All right. Wow. So you have the heart and the mind of a killer.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm gonna be careful with you. What was the first film score you remember making an impact on you?
So I think it was a tie, and last year I think there was a similar question. I think I said Rocky, which is definitely true. But
you're gonna backpedal.
But I'm gonna backpedal and go tie, and I'm gonna say James Bond. Because of my age, it was For Your Eyes Only was sort of the first James Bond I remember seeing in the theater, which I know is not nearly the best James Bond film. But I did the same thing that I did with Rocky, and that's how I noticed how much how much power music had. Because with Rocky, I put on boxing gloves and pretended I was boxing. But I remember being in the basement, and I would do the gun barrel sequence from James Bond, and I would put on my dad's tuxedo and a fake plastic, cap gun or something, and I would walk across and I'd spin and I'd look right in the mirror, and right when the music did bana, it'd be the whole thing, and that was like, oh my God, I can become that character when the music plays, and that was, I think, where it really came out that was the amount of power that this subconscious thing that you hear has, and it, it works for Luke Skywalker and it works for James Bond and all that stuff. So
Be honest. Do you do that still today?
all the time.
Get out of the shower, look in the mirror.
I may or may.
You want to do it? Show us.
I may or may not have a homemade Homelander outfit somewhere.
I would like to see that.
No, you wouldn't.
Let's see the clip of that. No. Funny enough, I have a clip of it. No, I'm sure that'd be terrible. Tell us something about working on The Boys that we wouldn't know. Now, come on. You've been on this show for a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, great
Tell
stuff.
us a story about working on it that you haven't told widely.
So I think one of the best things about working on a show with Eric Kripke, who's, as a lot of you know, is one of my best friends from college, was my next door neighbor, fraternity brother. And so we've done 15 years of Supernatural and Revolution, and now The Boys and Gen V. Yeah, he's a genius. But one of the great things is that he often will, put stuff in the script that only we'll get or know, and then he doesn't tell me. And so in season 2, I had already written the song for Starlight, Never Truly Vanish, and he's like, oh, we need another song. I'm gonna send you the script pages. And so I open up the PDF in email, and the specific top of the script page says, cut to composer, producer, Chris Lennertz playing himself. He is the worst rapper known to man in the entire world. And then he proceeds to rap very poorly an original rap that he's pitching to A-Train to be his epic anthem as he leaves the 7. And that was the first time I saw him like, wait, I'm supposed to be in this? And I'm like, look, I'm a really good rapper. I'm not sure I can pull this off, but I'm gonna do my best. And I think a little bit of acting experience in high school, I managed to pull that off. Thank you.
So we would have met around the time when I stepped off of Medal of Honor and you took over Medal of Honor. So you were also back there in the days doing the video games and all of that, which was a crazy time.
That's right.
Glad
I got to use your awesome theme many times. So.
Well, it's all yours. You can have it. So let's watch a clip from The Boys, season 4.
I've always loved musical theater. I was Conrad Birdie in high school, and I worked with Alan Menken for almost 10 years now, and so I love writing songs, and when your best friend is the showrunner, you get to say things at dinner like, you know what I really want to do is write lots of musical theater songs, and somehow he ends up figuring out a way to work that into a superhero show. So that was just such great luck, and yeah, it's been really fun.
That's amazing. I love it. All right, Michael Abels. Tell us a Pulitzer Prize. What is happening?
Right.
Tell me about that first. That's pretty amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So, we won the Pulitzer Prize. And,
How'd that feel?
it's pretty effing great. It does not get old.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, your music has always just blown me away. And I love your story that where you came from, and you were teaching, and just this kind of happened later for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Some of my concert orchestral music was on YouTube, and it got several dozen views. And I think the 37th one was Jordan Peele. So that worked out.
It did work out. Amazing stuff you've been able to put out into the world. So describe yourself to us by using 2 movies that you absolutely love.
So The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, right.
And Memento.
Oh.
Memento is fascinating. I'm just so amazed by the storytelling and how it all works. And I've just watched that movie again and again, like, this actually makes sense, I was just floored by the filmmaking.
And what is it about Empire that is you?
So Empire, it works on every level. I mean, it's just, first of all, it's just great entertainment, but also, the music, right?
So good.
So our Pulitzer Prize was for writing an opera, and Empire Strikes Back is an opera, just in the background if you haven't noticed, besides it being a great film, and the music just amplifies every aspect. It amplifies the comedy, it amplifies the drama, it amplifies the romantic tension, all of that. So
I love that score because where you could have just sort of riffed on what came from the first movie, he did not riff on anything that came from the first movie, and he created an entirely new set of themes, which just blew me away. That I agree with you. That score.
Yeah, and it's as a sequel, it fulfills your expectation and exceeds them.
Yeah. And
I think to the extent that it did that so remarkably, it has enabled us to have all the franchises that we have now because of the possibility that the next one could be even more amazing.
Yes, I agree. I'd let that be an inspiration to all of us. So, the film score that you first remember making an impact on you? Maybe it's empty, I don't know.
Well, for sure. When you said Rocky, I'm like, oh yeah. But it was probably even when I was much younger, The Sound of Music.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Which I don't even think, it's a musical, so it's a score, yeah, but the music transformed. Well, and also, one word for every note by mixing it up like this, right? So I'm like, well, what a fun game that is. It's like building blocks with music. You can make them in any order. And the messages we hear when we're really young like that, it impact everything. And that's how I've always seen music as this fun game of building blocks where you can create what you want, but then also create this really emotional reaction.
And it is a bit like Jenga, isn't it? And if you remove just one wrong thing, it all falls apart. It can just fall apart right in front of your eyes.
That's a really good analogy.
Tell us something about working on Star Wars, because now you're in the Star Wars universe, having fun there on the Acolyte. Tell us something about, give it up. By the way, episode 5, awesome.
Thanks.
It's so good. It is so good. I love it so much. But tell us something about working on that you haven't really.
Well, so I there's one piece of on-camera music that's done. And when music's on camera, you got to do it before they shoot it. And so where I started was with the music for the Ascension ceremony, where the coven it's sort of the coming of age ceremony. And that was the first music I had to do because they hadn't shot it yet, so I did that music. And then I told them it was super important that I come to set and supervise or be there as a consultant if there's any and they believed this. So I got to go on set of Star Wars, okay? And that was unbelievably cool. But it was also in the middle of the night and it was freezing. So I was physically really miserable, but spiritually overjoyed.
Yeah, making movies is actually not that fun. It's really
It's a
hard.
lot.
It's
You
a
get to
lot
stay
of
home in the dark and staying home, and there's a lot to be said for that. Actually.
When I was sitting there I'm directing Werewolf by Night, and I'm sitting just thinking to myself, am I an idiot? What did I was at home, I was warm, I was in my own office, I didn't have to go anywhere, and here I am. But it's fun. It's absolutely fun. So let's watch a clip from The Acolyte. Beautiful work. Rob. Well,
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Should I ask the question? Do you know whether you...
I had all of this time to think about it.
Yeah, all this stuff. So you better have the best answer of everyone. Just tell us about yourself by naming 2 movies that you love.
I'm going to say 2001.
Ooh, okay.
Because I sometimes have days where I feel like I start as a primate and end as a cosmic child.
So how does it feel to have the weight of the Marvel theatrical future placed so solidly on your shoulders? Tell us about that. How's that feel? It's up to you, man. You gotta say, the company's going down or up on your shoulders. What's happening?
Jeez. Well, you've felt that a number of times.
Yes.
I'm sure. I have to say, Marvel really supported Sean and Ryan making their film. And we had recently done the Adam Project, and it was a very kind of tight-knit experience with the 2 of them. And it was no different on this. So I think I felt very protected and shielded from the weight of it. And for me, just try to be a cosmic baby about it, just kind of innocent, shooting for the stars, not really thinking about trying to satisfy some kind of corporate agenda, but rather just thinking about what I want to feel. And the film was just it's hilarious. I mean, it's exhaustingly funny. You're just like, oh my gosh, give me a second to catch my breath. And so really my job was just to make myself feel fun. And so every day it was just like trying to make myself laugh, trying to give myself that kind of flying feeling of soaring. And I think also of all the films in the Marvel Universe that I could have gotten tapped to do, Deadpool's the most irreverent. And so in some ways, the stakes are less. They're they're pretty high, but just the ability to have fun with it to the nth degree. And also, there's a lot of spectrum to the film. So sometimes we get to be very orchestral and very emotional, and other times we get to be, wacky and weird and ADD about it. And so it was a pretty broad canvas to be able to paint on. And to be honest, it was just a blast.
Well, tell us something about working on it that you haven't told anyone. What was something good, bad, and different? Something.
Yeah, that it was scored completely over Zoom and FaceTime with the director. We didn't meet once in
Really?
person. Yeah, and that tends to be how it is with Sean. He and I have just gotten into a groove, and we'll FaceTime, and sometimes it's not even a high quality stream. I'm literally holding up the phone, playing him something, and he's like, no. I'm hearing it like go da-na, instead of na-na, it's gonna go na-na. Like this. It's like, yes, that's it. And then that's how we scored maybe the biggest movie of the summer.
All the glamour and glitz of Hollywood. All right, let's watch a clip from Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm sure you don't need it. It's going to be great. That looks awesome. Thank you. I think we have some time for some audience questions if we want to do that. What do we, I think we have a microphone over here. All right, go for it.
Hi.
Hello.
My family has a car playlist that we listen to as we're driving, and it has several prolific movie composers. And the goal of our game is to identify the composer and the movie. So my question is, how would you fare in our car game?
Terribly. Anyone?
Probably too well. I'd be the dork that'd be like, oh yeah, you're right, that is.
Oh, you mean if we were driving with you in the car,
Yes.
how would we fare?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I'm stupid. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty good. Probably did pretty well.
I think you do well.
Yeah, I think we did pretty well. I mean, yeah, let me look. This is what we do. We're always complaining about each other's music. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, it's been awesome listening to all the music today. Thank you for sharing all those clips. It's been really fun seeing some stuff that I've never seen before or heard before. My question goes to Michael Abels. Has to do with your work on the Acolyte. There's a lot of kind of like intervallic stuff that I'm noticing, like a lot of reuse of certain intervals that are really related to each other, especially in your work with like themes and motives and all that stuff. So I'm just wondering like what went into that kind of process, because I'm noticing a lot of it, and I'd be shocked if it was coincidental.
What a leading question. So first of all, thanks for the props. Second is that there's a Star Wars harmonic language, and it relates to music from in the concert world from the late 1800s, early 1900s language. And so I had a very clear talk with the showrunner about how much does this sound like Star Wars in the way we know it, how much of it is fresh, because the characters are all new, and yet it needs to feel like Star Wars to people who watch it. So we cared intensely about that. And so basically for every cue, we talked about how traditional is this and how untraditional, and it had to do with the emotions of the characters and all of this. So there was a conscious, you can tell, very conscious plan to when the music needs to feel and sound like Star Wars that it do that. So that shows you how intentional that was. At the same time, there are new experiences and new ways of looking at characters in the series, and so in that way, I was then sometimes deliberately not doing it that way, and that's how we approached it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I just want to say how wonderful is it that we have this many people who enjoy music today. My question to all of you all is, do y'all ever get shivers or goosebumps listening to music that just makes you go, and if you've had one that has really impacted you, what song or music recently has given you those shivers?
The Kendrick diss track.
The Billie Eilish song from Barbie, What Was I Made For? That one definitely really, really great song.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a general point, that is like why we do what we do. I think especially when you're composing, like it can be like throughout the course of a day, I could feel the highest highs and the lowest lows in terms of like doubting whether I have any ability to do music at all. But then you have that one moment where you do something or you hear something and you're like, oh my God. And that's really what it's about for me.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm gonna drop one more nugget for anyone who didn't grow up in a Cadillac of the Skies from Empire of the Sun.
Yeah.
Go listen to it, and when it builds to the top, it is probably the most glorious like landing of a theme that could ever be. John Williams. It's gorgeous. It wasn't a huge hit of a movie, but Empire of the Sun, just stunning.
Incredible score. All right, next.
Hey, this was actually my top panel of the weekend. I'm really excited to be here. Like, I just like put the Alias score on when I'm working out. It's awesome. But so as such, I've prepared the most generic question ever. So how exactly do you get started with a career in composing? Like, how can I do what you do?
Wow. You know what? I started out as a publicist at Disney. I was working there and then went into video games. And so, I mean, like, I don't think there is any particular path that I could tell you that would actually be the thing that could work out. And I think that every one of us probably had a very, very different path in terms of getting that first opportunity to do something, which then led to another opportunity. And I think generally it's just about putting yourself in the middle of a place that does something that you love and hope and do anything there. Go like I did working at Disney and the publicity and the video games and all of that. But it put me in a place where I could learn and I could be around people that choose that are the people that choose the composers, that find the music for projects. It's a very tough thing. I don't know if anyone has anything different to add.
I will say, I mean, a previous, someone just asked a question and they were going to school. I mean, that was my path. I think that's a great way to go about it as well, is to educate yourself in a formal setting. Certainly in this part of the country, there's a lot of filmmaking happening. So if you kind of put yourself in those situations as well, you can actually learn the craft. And then from there, there's obviously a lot of resources that will connect you to the industry.
Hi, how's it going?
Great.
This is actually for you, Michael, on the far left. Can you tell us anything about the Them remake that you're working on currently?
About the what?
The Them.
Oh, Them.
Yes.
Yes, we are currently in the middle of writing it, so it's being written right now. For those who don't know, I'm directing a movie for Warner Brothers called Them, which is based on the old 1950s monster movie, Them. Which I'm super excited about because I love that movie so much, and ants are terrifying. And the more you get to know about them, the more terrifying they are. They're actually assholes. It's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, we're in the writing process. We've done some work on some visual development and things like that, but early days, but it's going up the hill, so we're pushing.
Just one last thing. Will it be more of a modern take, or will it be like the 1954 setting than the original?
You are gonna find out when your butt is in that chair in the movie theater.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, again, thank you all for being here. It's been very inspiring listening to you all today. And Michael, I just picked up your Exotic Themes vinyl yesterday. I'm very excited to it.
Thank you.
I'm actually a longtime hobbyist composer who's trying to make the jump to pro currently. And I just wanted to ask you all if you have like one piece of advice that you always like wanted somebody to give you when you were first starting out, what would it be?
It's not your movie.
Yes. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, and I think what he means by that is you're there to help create the vision that the director wants. You're there as a team member, you know. And if a cue gets thrown out or something, or you write something they don't like, you can't take it personally. Right. Because it's not about you. It's about what's up on that screen every single time.
I would say one other thing, which is based on my experience in the trajectory of my career, which is don't give up. Because when you write music, you have no idea what the impact is going to be in the world. You don't get to choose. You only get to be committed to the music you write, and how the world receives it is up to others. And so you just have to trust that if you've written something, it's meant to be there, and you're going to discover what its purpose is.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have time for one more question.
Thank you very much.
Yep. And we're going to have Deadpool.
All right. Hi, Mr. Giacchino.
Yes.
Okay. Well, first, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm kind of cosplaying you, so.
Oh, with my hat. Okay.
Yes. Mike, I'm a huge fan of all of you, but in the same way that all of you said that you have certainly classic composers as your hero, Michael Giacchino will be classified as like a legend of film scores, and really, truly, you're my hero, sir. But my question is for Rob, actually. 500 Days of Summer, which you collaborated with Michael Ghana, and my question is, how does the collaborative process between two, is the mask muffling my voice? Wait, hang on a sec. My question is, how does the collaborative between two composers work? And like, what is yours, what is theirs, what do you combine? Do you write a one theme together? It's a beautiful, beautiful soundtrack, and I'm a huge fan of it.
Thank you. On that particular one, it's always different. You know, it depends on how it's set up. A collaboration, sometimes it's like you take this cue, I'll take that cue, and then maybe we swap and work on it together. But I remember on 500 Days, there was a moment where Michael was in the kitchen, which at the time was like just outside of my studio door. This is when we were actually on Hollywood Boulevard. Our studios were there. It was a terrible experience being on Hollywood Boulevard, but amazing being there with Michael. And we were hunting for the main theme, and I remember I was sitting there on the piano and he was making tea in the kitchen, and I kind of hit on a chord progression, and he was like, "That's it." And he came in and was like, "I can hear it." I was like, "I can hear it too." And literally as I was playing, he was playing with his hand the melody, and we were singing it. It was actually just kind of coming through us at the same time. And so that main theme for 500 Days of Summer literally came out, you know, the two of us working. But then a lot of the rest of it was divide and conquer, and we would listen to each other's work and give each other notes, and yeah.
Was the theme, those 3 notes, 4 notes actually.
Yeah, and that's Michael whistling, actually. He and I both did we hired a whistler, and then we fired, we replaced it with ourselves. Harsh. He was too good, that was the problem.
Yeah.
If you ever hire a professional whistler, those guys are good.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Amazing.
That is all the time we have for today, but thank you. I want to thank our panelists, sharing their stories with us. And as always, we want to thank you guys for everything. Thank you.
Hey, look at those names to the left. They are part of the Skywalking Force, our Patreon.
Become a producer yourself and check out all the Disney Plus themed bonus content available depending on the level you subscribe.
Become a member of the elite Skywalking Force at skywalkingforce.com.